Good morning, children. So, let's start your social class. Okay, so go to page number 20, right? Geography, chapter 2. That is where we were, and we have discussed until black soil in the previous class. So today we will be starting from red or yellow soil. Okay, so as I read, do follow me, and in between I may ask you to mark down some of the important points. Do that, okay? Alright, red soil and yellow soil, they have the same color as their name suggests. They get their color from huge concentration of iron oxide. Underline that. They get their color from huge concentration of iron oxide. They are found around the black soil zone in Western Ghats, Eastern Madhya Pradesh, and in parts of Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, and also Tamil Nadu. These soils form over different rock types and cannot retain much moisture. One can find stunted forest and drought-resistant crop growing abundantly on such soil types. Alright. So basically, red soil or yellow soil. Okay, the name of this particular soil is given because of its color, and the reason why this soil has got such type of color is that it contains huge amount of iron oxide, and that is the reason that this soil has got such type of particular color. Next, you find such type of soil in Western Ghats, is Eastern Madhya Pradesh, in parts of Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, and Tamil Nadu. Okay, please jot down the name of places where you find red soil and black soil. And also, red soil and black soil is found in and around this. What do you call? Not black soil. Sorry, red soil or yellow soil is found in and around black soil area. And this soil, you'll find generally this type of soil, forming over different types of rock, and as a result they don't have much moisture in it. So you'll find generally the crops, okay, which does not have or which do not need much water. Such type of crops you'll find in grown in this particular type of soils. Next we have sandy desert soil. These are found in the dry and semi-dry areas of Rajasthan and parts of Gujarat. Sandy desert. Underline the area where do we find such type of soil. Dry areas of Rajasthan and parts of Gujarat. These soils are sandy to gravelly with low organic content and low nutrients. They vary in color from reddish to light brown. The soil has high soluble salts, but it is low on humus content. Sandy desert soil is not suitable for cultivating crops. Okay. In one word, if I define you sandy desert soil, you can call it as a dry soil, okay, or arid soil in simple language. And you find in dry areas, in arid areas, and mainly you'll find sand in this type of soil with low organic content, at the same time low nutrients, and also no proper humus in it, which means if there is low organic, low nutrient, no proper humus, so it is not suitable for cultivating. Next, laterite soil. The areas that receive heavy rainfall mostly have laterite type of soil. Underline. So areas where we get heavy rainfall. It is also reddish in color, but different from red soil in their mineral composition. Weathering plays a major role in the formation of this soil. These lumpy soils can be broken down easily when they are damp, but when they are dry, they turn hard as a rock. These are locally known as putts in the Chota Nagpur Plateau area. Right, underline the local name of laterite soil, putts, and where this name is mainly used, nearby this Chota Nagpur Plateau area. Okay. So laterite soil, that means it has got huge amount of water in it. Why? Because it is mostly found in areas where there is heavy rainfall. Next, it is also red in color, but do not mistake it for a red soil, as because the mineral composition which a red soil has and a laterite soil has is totally different. Now weathering I've already explained you, breaking down of rocks and all because of wind or running water and all. So weathering plays one of the major role for formation of such type of soil, that is laterite soil. And as I told you that this is mainly found in an area where there is heavy rainfall, so therefore this lumpy soils can be easily broken when they are damp, like when it is soaked in water, you can say that. But when it is completely dry, then it turns as hard as a rock. The other name of laterite soil, the local name of laterite soil, which is mainly used in Chota Nagpur Plateau area, is Putts. Next we have mountain soil. These are found on the Himalayan mountains and vary from deep alluvium in valleys to highly gravel soils based on altitude and vegetation. Underline where are these found? Mountain soil. The name itself is self-explanatory, mountain soil. So it's in the first line it's written these are found in Himalayan mountains, and also they have got different characteristics. Somewhere you'll find deep alluvium in valleys, and somewhere you'll find gravelly solid soil. It based on the height, altitude. Okay. The mid-altitude zone contains coniferous trees and low humus content. Underline, circle that mid-altitude zone. Special characteristic of mid-altitude zone: it has got coniferous trees and also low humus content. The soil surface of the higher altitude frozen areas remain under snow. Many of the deltic region are affected by tidal waves and currents where the soils are saline, marshy. Marshy tracts are usually found in these areas. Okay. Mountain soil, generally found in mountains. Secondly, it has got, even though it's there are, now see, for example, so this is a mountain. The entire portion you can call it is a mountain. But look at the height of the mountain: mid-altitude, top, at the base, at the low level. So likewise, depending upon the altitude and also depending upon vegetation, the soil, the mountain soil varies from one to the other. Next, the soil surface, especially in the higher altitude at the top, is completely frozen. Okay, that's because it remains under snow. But many of the deltic regions are also affected by these tidal waves and currents, where the soils are completely saline, salty, you can say that. And you'll find one more thing in this mountain soil areas, that is marshy tracts. Next we have soil degradation, degrading soil. You can say damaging soil in simple language. Soil gets constantly eroded by wind and water. This is a natural process of soil erosion. However, human activities are also damaging the quality of soil and consequently its productivity. Soil degradation occurs when soil loses its productivity due to loss of nutrients, organic matter, and water retention capacity. Underline that. Soil degradation occurs when soil loses its productivity due to loss of nutrients, organic matter, and water retention capacity. How are humans degrading soils? The question and answer both are framed for you. So the answer that follows: deforestation, agriculture, overgrazing, fuel wood gathering, and establishment of industries are some of the major causes of soil degradation. Underline the entire thing, the question as well as the answer. I think before I started this chapter, during introduction, I have already given you some of the points from this, but still once again. So yes, soil gets eroded, soil gets degraded, soil gets damaged due to two ways. One is the natural ways, which you can say that is wind erosion and water and all, flood and all. Okay, but wind erosion, flood, water, it doesn't happen throughout the year, right? There's a particular time frame for it. It's a natural process, and the way naturally soil gets damaged, in the same manner the soil formation and you can say this erosion is taking place simultaneously at the same time, naturally, if I talk about. But however, when these human activities come in between, that is where it becomes imbalance. All right. Otherwise, soil formation and soil erosion is quite balanced. The formation of soil structure. Now, human activities, deforestation, agriculture, overgrazing, fuel wood gathering, and establishment of industries. For this, we don't have any time frame. For this, we don't have any limit. We do it as per our wish, right? We take it for granted that soil, or in one word, if I say nature, we human beings, we take it for granted that nature is a free gift of the environment. So make use of it as much as or how you like. And at last, who suffers? It's we. Now, soil starts degrading, when it loses its productivity. And why it loses its productivity? Because it doesn't have nutrient, it doesn't have organic matter, it does not have the capacity to hold water. As a result, you cannot grow any crop. So soil productivity, once it starts going down, the soil starts degrading. Next, soil conservation. Soil is a precious resource and an important part of the ecosystem. If you have soil, you have life. Imagine a world with no soil. Besides supporting food and fiber and wildlife, soil affects atmosphere and the world climate. Online from that particular sentence, besides supporting food and fiber and wildlife habitat, soils affect atmosphere and the world climate. It takes nearly 500 years to form soil 1 centimeter thick. 500 years. None of us survives for 500 years. And for forming that 1 centimeter thick soil, and when we have to dig out 1 centimeter thick soil, or when we have to make use for our own purpose, forget about 500 years, it does not take even fraction of a second to us, right? Soil conservation is the prevention of the wasteful use of soils to conserve resource for the future. There are several ways in which soil degradation can be controlled. Alright. So what do you mean by soil conservation? In simple language, saving, conserve, to protect, to save. So conserve your soil, save your soil, protect your soil, okay, so that it does not get wasted. And the reason why you are saving this, or you are protecting this soil for the future. Now there are several ways how we can control soil degradation. Let's see. Number 1, ground cover vegetation. Okay, what do you mean by ground cover vegetation? Let's check it out. It is important to establish and maintain ground cover vegetation which will minimize wind, water and soil erosion. It will also improve soil and air quality by planting perennial plants and improved water quality, thereby resulting in an increase in vegetative cover. Alright. So basically, a process of vegetation, you can say by maintaining or by following the process of covering the ground in simple layman's term, as because it will save that particular area, it will save that particular soil from wind, water and soil erosion. So it's ground cover vegetation, okay. Now another thing is that it will also, the benefit of ground cover vegetation is it will also improve the soil and the air quality if you keep planting perennial plants and improved water quality. So therefore the result is that cover vegetation, or you can say vegetative cover. So ground cover vegetation is one of the most useful and effective ways, okay, to practice soil conservation, or you can say to control soil degradation. Both the way it means the same. Next we have mulching. No, let me go to the exercise now. Your assignment for the day. What did we do today? Starting from red to ground cover vegetation. Fill in the blanks. No. Match the column. Not match the column, sorry. Tick the correct answer. true or false, you can do question number 2, 3, 4 for today. And so you don't have much questions in your exercise from the topic that has been discussed today, but however I'll give you some questions from the text. Note it down. Where is it? Okay, let me write here. List the different, I hope you're able to hear me. List the different characteristics of red or yellow soil, sandy desert soil, laterite soil, and mountain soil. So what you have to do is that you can write this answer in different forms. One is you can make 4 columns, or the other way of writing is that you can give under the answer like the different characteristics of the following soils are as follows. Okay, and then you can give number 1 red or yellow soil, and below that give the characteristic as mentioned. Number 2 sandy or desert soil. So like that. Okay, you can make it in column, or I would suggest the best way is go in terms of paragraph, as because this is social, so points. Okay, point number 1, point number 2, point number 3. So you can write in the form of points. That'll be better. And this exercise just true or false, 3 questions, only that much. Okay, so that will be your assignment for the day. And one more thing, yes, something very important I forgot. I just remembered now as I was about to end the class. Class 8A, right? This class is for class 8A. Attendance. Some of you are there who are not at all marking the attendance. It's not only a question about marking the attendance, it's also about attending the class. I don't understand why. What's so difficulty in attending the class being at home? Like I explain you this study related topic, so you also explain me. You also try to make me understand, like I try my best to make you understand about this our subjects. What is the reason? Why is it so difficult for you to attend the class? Whoever it is, I'm telling you, daily attendance are being marked. You will have to provide justification for it. You will have to provide explanation for it. Okay? If you have a valid justification, it's well and good. But I don't think, okay, once in a blue moon, everybody, you, me, we all of us, we are all human beings. At times or the other, we may have, certain difficulties because of which we may not be able to attend some classes, 1 or 2. Okay, understood. But regularly, consecutively, not even a single class you are attending, that is something which is going above my head. Well, see to it. For timing, I would just say, think about your future. Think about any action that you do. Every action has got an opposite and equal reaction. Class 8 students, right? Grown-up kids. You're not small kids, grown-up kids, so you understand very well. So think about it, okay? And the remaining, it's all up to you. See you in the next class. Study well.